You're listening to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, created to help you succeed in your PMP certification journey. Learn more at baremetalcyber.com, where additional prepcasts, books, and training materials await. Let's get started. This drill simulates a timed set of situational questions. You'll have roughly 60 to 75 seconds to work each scenario. The rhythm is always the same. Summarize the STEM in one sentence, pick the best next action, and note your confidence level. Each choice is anchored in artifacts, scope, schedule, or cost baselines, backlogs, change logs, risk and issue logs, requirements, traceability matrices, statements of work or contracts, and benefits or compliance registers. These are the anchors that make decisions traceable. Pacing is critical. If you feel torn, lean toward the option that analyzes impact, consults the right artifact, and acts within policy before escalating. That heuristic rarely fails. Scenario 1 combines people and process tensions. A very important stakeholder demands a tiny user interface tweak just 5 days before user acceptance testing. The team lead protests. Morale is already strained and the clock is ticking. You may feel the pull to satisfy the stakeholder, but doing so without analysis undermines both governance and team trust. The options illustrate the traps: approve immediately to appease, escalate before facilitating, or tell the team to simply absorb it. The artifact to consult is the acceptance criteria linked through the traceability matrix. The professional move is to facilitate alignment, run a quick impact analysis, and route the request through the change path. The correct decision here is option B: clarify acceptance criteria, analyze impact, and decide through the change process, updating the change log. This protects the baseline, maintains morale, and respects governance. It also shows the stakeholder that requests are handled seriously but with discipline. Approving immediately undermines process. Escalating prematurely signals a lack of ownership. Forcing the team to absorb the work damages trust. The heuristic applies cleanly. Consult the artifact, analyze impact, decide via policy, and update documentation. This is how predictive and agile leaders alike turn conflict into a traceable decision. Scenario 2 is a risk-focused challenge. A third-party API may throttle requests, and the launch date is fixed. Quality assurance warns that this could lead to system failure at go-live. Team members suggest overtime, hoping to power through. Others advise waiting and rebaselining later. Legal escalation is floated as well. The artifact to check first is the risk register, followed by the schedule model. These provide the evidence needed to decide. Overtime is not risk treatment, it is hope. Ignoring or delaying increases exposure. Escalating to legal is premature until technical analysis is complete. The correct decision is option B: add a spike test to verify the risk, introduce a caching mitigation story, resequence as needed, and update the risk register. This is proactive risk management. Analyze, mitigate, test, and only then adjust. It shows governance bodies that the project is not hiding risk, but addressing it transparently. It keeps the release date visible, but avoids false confidence. By using the artifacts, the project manager ensures that evidence drives the response. It demonstrates the discipline of proactive risk treatment before action instead of reactive crisis management later. Scenario 3 is compliance heavy. An auditor asks for proof of approvals for the last release. The only records are chat screenshots with comments like, "Looks good to me." No official change log exists. Stakeholders are eager to move forward, but without formal records, the release risks audit rejection. The artifact to consult first is the change log. If it is incomplete, approval records and deployment logs must be aligned. Governance requires durable, linked evidence. Screenshots are not enough. Delaying a month is excessive. Quietly recreating paperwork undermines trust and risks discovery. Compliance requires evidence, not improvisation. The disciplined choice is option B: produce the official change log with linked approvals, open a corrective and preventative action plan for the gaps, and adjust the release only if mandated. This satisfies auditors by showing that evidence exists, gaps are acknowledged, and processes are being improved. It preserves cadence while respecting compliance. Screenshots fail audit standards. Delaying excessively wastes value. Recreating documents without fixing the process risks repeat failures. By following the evidence path, the project manager demonstrates both stewardship and transparency. Compliance is honored without losing delivery rhythm. At this checkpoint, pause and reset your pacing. Confirm how many items you've completed and how much time remains. This lab is designed to simulate pressure, but remember that your best answers come from slowing down just enough to apply the heuristic. The sequence remains the same. Check the artifact, analyze the impact, decide through policy, and communicate clearly. If you find yourself drifting into gut reactions, return to this rhythm. The next set of scenarios will challenge procurement, benefits, and schedule management. Prepare to shift domains while holding the same disciplined approach. Part 1 ends here, with 3 scenarios worked under timed conditions. You should now feel the rhythm. People and process conflicts grounded in acceptance criteria and change logs. Risk scenarios anchored in registers and technical analysis. Compliance scenarios guided by logs and evidence. The second half will continue with procurement, benefits, and schedule compression, each testing whether you can maintain artifact-driven discipline under pressure. These situational sets are designed to make you reflexively choose evidence before escalation, impact analysis before action, and policy before improvisation. That reflex is what earns trust in predictive, agile, and hybrid settings alike. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other prepcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. This timed drill is designed to build confidence under exam-like pressure. Imagine yourself with about a minute per scenario. The rhythm remains consistent. Summarize the situation in one sentence, identify the artifact that governs the decision, choose the best next action, and mark your confidence. The goal is not only to pick correct answers, but also to strengthen the instinct of checking evidence before acting. When time feels tight, discipline is what prevents rash shortcuts. The better habit is to reach for the artifact that provides clarity and let it guide your response. A handful of artifacts surface repeatedly in these timed scenarios. Scope, schedule, and cost baselines anchor predictive choices. Backlogs and sprint goals anchor agile ones. Change logs, risk logs, and issue registers provide traceability. The requirements traceability matrix ensures coverage and sign-off. Statements of work and contracts govern vendor interactions. Benefits and compliance registers link outcomes and obligations. These tools are the scaffolding of project management. They are not ornamental. They are what converts judgment into traceable, defensible action. One pacing tip is worth remembering. If torn between choices, lean toward the one that first analyzes impact and uses the correct artifact before escalating. Escalation has its place, but it is rarely the first move. Project managers are judged by how much they can resolve at their level with evidence and facilitation. Only after impact analysis and artifact consultation should governance bodies be asked to intervene. With that in mind, let's step into the scenarios. The first situation blends people and process. A very senior stakeholder insists on a tiny user interface change just 5 days before user acceptance testing. The team lead resists, citing fatigue after late nights and dropping morale. On the surface, the request looks trivial, but the timing and the people dynamics make it complex. The artifacts to consult are the acceptance criteria and the scope baseline, backed by the change log. These documents answer whether the request is in or out of scope and how to handle it. Without them, the conversation becomes about authority instead of agreements. The professional response is to facilitate a quick session where acceptance criteria are reviewed, impact is analyzed, and the change path is followed if needed. This protects the baseline and morale while still treating the stakeholders' request seriously. Governance sees a recorded decision, the team sees that their concerns are heard, and the stakeholder sees that urgency is not dismissed. Alternatives such as approving on the spot, telling the team to absorb the work, or escalating immediately fail in different ways. They either bypass evidence, damage trust, or waste sponsor bandwidth. Evidence plus facilitation is the right balance. The disciplined move is to introduce a spike test that validates whether throttling will occur, add a mitigation story such as caching to reduce load, and resequence work as necessary. The risk register is updated to show ownership, mitigation, and verification. This shows governance that the team is not ignoring the issue, but tackling it with evidence. Overtime is not a mitigation, it is a gamble. Ignoring and rebaselining later simply defers failure. Escalating directly to legal is premature without technical analysis. By running a spike and applying mitigation, the project manager demonstrates responsible stewardship of both risk and schedule. The third situation is compliance-driven. An auditor asks for proof of approvals from the last release. The only visible records are informal chat comments like "looks good." No official log has been produced. Production is stable, but without evidence, governance is fragile. The artifact to consult is the change log, supported by approval records and deployment logs. These provide traceability from request to approval to release. Compliance without documentation is not compliance. It is exposure. Auditors need durable evidence, not anecdotes. The correct action is to compile the official change log, link approvals, and open a corrective and preventative action item for any gaps. Deployment evidence should be attached, and only if regulators mandate delay should the release be adjusted. This protects cadence while satisfying audit standards. Alternatives such as sending screenshots, delaying unnecessarily, or recreating paperwork quietly without fixing the process fail in different ways. Screenshots are insufficient. Delays waste value. Quiet paperwork undermines credibility. By producing an official log and documenting gaps transparently, the project manager protects both delivery and compliance. At this point in the drill, it is worth taking a breath and confirming pace. In a real-timed set, you would note how many scenarios you've completed and whether you are within your time budget. The heuristic is worth repeating. Artifact first, impact analysis second, decision via policy third, and clear communication to close. That rhythm creates a steady hand under time pressure. Without it, panic produces rash approvals or escalations. With it, even a minute per question feels manageable. This sequence of scenarios has already shown 3 different domains: people plus process and scope conflicts, risk analysis in schedule pressure, and compliance evidence under audit scrutiny. Each tested whether you would jump to appeasement or delay, or whether you would anchor your action in artifacts and governance. The through line is clear. Artifacts transform urgency into traceable action. Facilitation turns conflict into agreement. Evidence turns risk into managed exposure. And transparency turns compliance into credibility. These habits, rehearsed under time pressure, become second nature. Practicing in this way conditions you for the exam, but more importantly, it prepares you for real project turbulence. Stakeholders will always ask for last-minute changes. Risks will always surface near deadlines. Auditors will always ask for evidence. What matters is not the pressure itself, but your reflex under it. Do you reach for the artifact, run the analysis, and act via policy? Or do you reach for the shortcut? These drills train you toward the first path, which is why they are invaluable beyond the classroom. Thanks for tuning in to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, your trusted source for cybersecurity news and insights. Remember to subscribe at baremetalcyber.com so you never miss an update. And visit cyberauthor.me for best-selling cybersecurity books that equip you with expert knowledge. Until next time, stay secure and stay vigilant.